another episode of Backroads Detour.
Backroads Detour. And we're talking about Yellowstone. But prior to us getting to Yellowstone is a story of its own.
Yeah.
We had to get our trailer fixed when we were in Katy prior to coming up to Arkansas. We had the refrigerator fixed, and there was also a leak in the hydraulics on one of the slide outs. Well, that was going to take too long for them to get the part in, blah 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 blah. It still worked. We said we just get that taken care of and went to Arkansas. Went to Crabtree, great dealership as far as the service department goes, better than the place we've been to. They got the part ordered, and as they were working on that, we decided let's get new tires. So while I worked, she went and they worked with us. Crabtree worked with us, RV dealer worked with us, and she was able to. They called her and picked up the tires that they pulled off because they had to basically. They were going to repack the bearings.
Yeah, we were going to get the bearings repacked. That was another thing that we had decided to do.
And since we had the tires off, we said we'll get new tires, and so she went to the other place and they did the tire swap, and during that time they discovered something else was broke. And we're pretty much we're pretty sure that when we had our spring hanger broke a while back, that it caused some additional stress, and these little Equiflex things here, it cracked somewhere. I never saw it.
So the crack happened in this weld right here on one of them, and then the other one, these two spots right here were bent out. So we assume that it happened when the spring hanger cracked as well and broke, I guess from the stress.
Right, and so the whole thing delayed our process of, because once we were in Arkansas, she was wanting to go north. I was not really wanting to go north at all, just kind of wanted to hang around the area. But she kind of talked me into it, I guess, and decided let's do it. But we couldn't leave, and we were living in a hotel for 3 or 4 days, something like that.
Yeah, Monday through Thursday.
Right.
The good thing about all of that was, people talk about extended warranties and they're not worth it. Just with the part for our refrigerator, that paid for our extended warranty. And then we ended up having the additional breakage on that part and the slide leaking, and that was all covered by our extended warranty. Plus they paid for our hotel and our food, right. For that time. And so we're just really thankful that we did the extended warranty. There's a lot of talk out there and about not doing it, it's not worth it, but it definitely paid for itself 3 times over, with just those two repairs.
So then when we did leave, I think it was a Friday morning or something like that. Mm-hmm. We went to our first stop was in Oklahoma.
We stayed at a Harvest Host. That was our second Harvest Host.
Right.
And if anybody doesn't know what a Harvest Host is, it's we paid for a yearly subscription to this Harvest Host, and you can stay for free, and whatever type of thing that they offer, whether it's a farm and they sell food, or it might be what we did was a museum. Yeah, we stayed at Stafford Air and Space Museum, and
that place was dope. Is that a word? It was cool.
It was cool. We really enjoyed that Harvest Host.
And inside the museum, you've seen Space Museum. We've been to the one in the Space Center in Houston, and it's pretty cool. But this place was it was different. It was just it was more, I don't know, I wouldn't say hands-on, but you can actually get up close and personal regarding the history of the first space, orbiting
Yeah, the space flight.
and Stafford actually that he was one of the first astronauts actually, and some other guy I can't remember his name. But it was just really neat. The engines, it was just really cool. You could actually look inside the cockpits of some of the planes they had there. It was pretty fascinating. We were actually blown away that we weren't expecting that at all. But it was pretty. If you ever get a chance to be in Oklahoma and you can visit the Harvest Host, it's just one to put on your list and visit.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So one of the things that I was saying is that to do a Harvest Host, you have to patronize something that they do. So it's either a museum, and we paid $7 a person to go into this museum and see it, and we did that morning, and before we left. It was nice.
And then after that, our next destination was Denver, and which you were just talking about a winery. We stayed at the Sparrow Winery.
Yeah.
Little sketchy at first, but it wasn't as bad as it seemed. And we actually had in our Momentum, someone else came up with a 2020
Momentum, just like ours.
Just like ours, but it was of course newer. Ours is 18. But we were able to do some. They didn't officially have the wine tasting. You couldn't do it because you had to serve food at the same time. But she was a lady that owns the place. She did let us taste some of her wine, and it was really. I was shocked that it was that good. Right.
So that was nice, and that was in the middle of downtown Denver. That was really a crazy place.
And we had friends that came and visited us too. When we were up there.
Karen.
Karen and her
she's
husband.
also a health coach with our coaching community, and that was really nice because I haven't seen her because of COVID. We were supposed to have seen each other in July at our convention, and we didn't get to do that. So that was really nice. I just love Karen, and she brought her family.
Right.
We got to meet their kids.
Right.
And she got to see where we live and how we live, and that was nice.
Right. And so from Denver, then we headed up to
Yes. We went into Wyoming.
Right.
We stayed overnight.
But
Oh yeah.
yes, when we first got into Wyoming, because we had been, as we're traveling, and we've been talking about this. Man, there's a car wash, and like when you're on a route, it's like I don't want to have to turn back around, come in. Luckily, as soon as we pulled into as we're going into what state was it?
Wyoming.
Wyoming.
We were in Cheyenne,
Right.
Wyoming, actually.
Exactly. There it was. Blue Beacon RV truck wash.
Yeah.
And we're like, is it even open? And we were due for a stop anyway, kind of a short stop. And we pulled and went around, and it was the best experience ever. It wasn't as expensive as I thought it was going to be. It was like $80, and it was for the whole works.
Yeah, they did the truck
And right.
And they did the tires, and they did everything.
It was nice.
It was really nice. Right. And if you have a unit like ours, you'll understand that getting one of these things washed is quite expensive. And so
it was a lot cheaper, and they did a better job. We had someone come to the house one time, your mom and dad's house, and hand wash it for $300.
Yeah. And it wasn't as done as well.
Right.
And we were in and out within about 15-20 minutes.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing. So yeah, the truck wash Blue Beacon was a great little sidetrack thing that we did.
But we end up in Palisade. How do you say that?
So we ended up in Palisades, Idaho.
Right, RV park.
Yes.
In Idaho.
In Idaho. That was our ultimate destination for
2 weeks.
Yes.
And to go to
Yellowstone and the Tetons.
Yeah, well, the smoke tons.
Yeah, the smoke came in like 2 days after we were there. It was.
And we had some visitors.
Yeah, so we had planned with our boys, 2 of our boys, not all of them. Trace and Cody flew into the nearest airport that Southwest flew, and that was Salt Lake City.
Yeah, and when you say planned, it wasn't like we planned this months ago. It was planned like 2 days prior to them coming almost type plans.
It was. Trace had some points that he had with Southwest, and so he decided to use some of those points to fly both of them up there so they could go with us to Yellowstone. And so I got on the phone, and we found that place. It was about 45 minutes away from Jackson Hole, and Jackson Hole is only 15 minutes away from the Tetons, and then about an hour from the south entrance to Yellowstone. So it wasn't too bad, and it was beautiful over in Palisades. I mean, it was gorgeous. That lake was just beautiful.
It was. And the wheat fields.
Oh yeah.
Miles. We actually talked to someone the other day about that. Actually, was a farmer, and he's like, "Well, you guys are from Texas, aren't you? Have you seen wheat fields?" And we're like, "No, not really.
Like this.
Not like
no. This." Yeah, they were all ready to be harvested, so they were beautiful. They were golden. They were for miles and miles and miles, and hills, and it was just gorgeous.
Right.
So back to
Yellowstone.
Yeah, I got on the phone, and we actually scored a cabin in Yellowstone Park that allowed dogs. So while the boys were there, we were able to get 2 nights in a cabin in Yellowstone Park. It was just crazy that I could get that, but yeah.
Right, and here's the thing with Yellowstone Park, and we didn't know. We know now, and it really threw us off because, the reason why we did the cabin type thing is because we can't bring this inside our momentum inside the park. There's just no way it's going to happen.
Yeah, the parks are the
they can't accommodate
campgrounds are not, because they were made so long ago.
Right.
They don't accommodate large units like this. Now there are some that are just outside the park that do, but they were all booked.
Right. But thinking we can bring dogs, we're thinking, okay, bring our dogs.
We can hike.
We can hike with the dogs. Well, every trail we went onto, or with the trails we first saw, it said no dogs. And we got that first taste of that when we were in the smoke tons, our Tetons.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, okay. And then, of course, when we were at the cabins, it clearly states you are not to leave your dogs unattended, period. So what are we supposed to do? Supposed to sit there and can't do anything, right? So why even have a place to bring your dogs if you can't take your dogs on any of the... I get why you can't because of wildlife. I understand that. They're little bitty treats, but so luckily our dogs are well behaved enough to where we said, screw it. We're going to take advantage of that. And we left our dogs in the room when we weren't supposed to. But our dogs were well managed enough to where I didn't have to worry about it. Yeah. But yeah.
That was an eye opener.
Yeah, but we did.
Didn't
But
know.
we did got to spend 2 full days of get some really good. We got some hiking in, a lot of waterfalls. I mean, coming up, we saw some great waterfalls.
Lots of wildlife.
Oh yeah,
Bison.
Bison everywhere.
Yeah, bison. Y'all got to see
The geysers too.
a glimpse of a moose that was laying under a tree. I missed it. I was so disappointed because that was one of the things on my list. We did get to see elk. That was in what part of the Yellowstone was that? They were all over this town. It was the hot springs.
Yes.
Mammoth Hot Springs.
Mammoth Hot Springs.
Yeah, they were all over everywhere.
We went up there we had heard a couple days prior that there was a fresh kill, and if we wanted to see wolves, and we actually heard that news from a park ranger. And when we got to where we thought the area was, Brenda went and talked to another park ranger to find out exactly what the location was, and it was another hour away, and it was already getting late, and we didn't like driving back all the way back on those roads, especially with the animals, which we did see one after we pulled over.
We sure did.
I mean,
it was right out there. So we had stopped for sunset pictures over this lake. Gorgeous. But we hiked off the road through a little bit of woods to get to the edge of this lake to get some sunset pictures. And Trace had kind of wandered off a little bit and saw this bison come right out of the woods, right where we were at, and he was kind of yelling at us to. He was kind of yelling at us to get over to where the bison was coming up, and he came right out where our car was parked and walked right into the middle of the road and started walking down the middle of the road.
By himself?
There were no other bison around, which was really strange because they are usually herd animals. But he walked right down the middle of the road, and these people that were coming up that road had to stop in the middle of the road. So I can imagine if there had been a sharp turn or something right before that, people could have just slammed right into the middle of that guy.
Right.
And they say that happens quite often. So, yeah.
Hence the reason why we didn't go and drive back at night.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah, because we were already an hour away going up to Mammoth Hot Springs. If we had gone another hour out, that would have been 2 hours back.
So anyway, so the Yellowstone was great. The geyser, the old Faithful.
Old Faithful.
We got to see that. That was kind of cool, you know. Everyone says, "You got to do that." It was all right. It was nice. I mean, at least I can say I did it. I've been there.
Yeah.
I think
it was faithful.
To me, yeah.
It went off when it was supposed to.
Right. To me, I think the waterfalls was the best. Seeing those.
Those were. Pretty incredible waterfalls. Y'all hiked down. I was like, I'm not hiking all the way down there because I gotta hike all the way back.
It was a great 2 days, the Yellowstone, and then of course we saw the one dead bison in the river. I don't know how he got in the middle of it, but he was just stuck there. That's it for our Yellowstone trip, pretty much.
Yeah, the boys and I, after we got back from Yellowstone, we were able to go the next day. Trace was still off work and on that Monday, and so we took off and went hiking in Tetons. It was beautiful. We hiked a really nice hike to 2 lakes, and then we were able to hike back, and the smoke had cleared just enough to be able to be really, really pretty. And if anyone has hiked to mountain lakes, they're so clear and beautiful. Yeah, it was a really nice day. Lots of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was
our Yellowstone and
Yellowstone,
Tetons.
and getting to the Yellowstone was an adventure itself. So it was you know, lessons learned always. It was a good trip.
Yeah.
So you know, I don't know where it's at, if it's here, there, but hopefully you guys subscribe to our page.
Yeah.
And like it.
We're trying.
We're trying
to get these out.
Yeah.
For our family and friends, and we ran into a little boy yesterday on our hiking trail, and he's like, "Do y'all have a YouTube page?" And I said, "We're trying to get one up and going. It's called Backroads Detour." He said, "I'll find you and subscribe." So hopefully he's found us and subscribed. But yeah, till the next time.
Yep.
And I'm sure he's going to put bloopers at the end of this because I had 2 calls.
Maybe. We'll see. I was recording when you didn't know it too. You guys take care. See ya.
Lay down.
Sit, boo-boo, sit.
I have to take this.
That was our neighbors. It happens. You gonna get that too? Who's calling you
This
now?
is the lady for the coat.
Oh. Now, put the phone up. Don't even let it sit there because it's gonna go zzz, zzz.